Welcome everyone to another episode of Tutorial Tuesday. It is week 52, 2019. I'm glad that you're along with us. Hey, Merry Christmas everyone, and thank you for tuning in to these Tutorial Tuesdays. Thank you for making them as amazing as they are, because without your questions, we don't learn as a community. So thank you for tuning in. Now, you may see that I have some lights in my beard because I'm feeling a little festive. My wife helped me put the lights in, and this really goes to one of our first questions, so let's get right into those. All right, our first question comes from Gary. He wants to know how to meter with our cameras using Aperture Priority and then taking that on into other modes like manual. So, for example, when I'm out on location and I'm doing a flash shoot, in other words, I'm going to use flash as my primary source of light, what I'm going to do is meter the scene, and I'll post a picture of my wife Jo on how I did that out on Antelope Island at my workshop. Now, what I'm going to do is take my camera, put it in AV, choose the aperture I want to shoot at, and then literally just take the picture. Now, from that, the camera is going to give me my shutter speed. So it could be 1/100th of a second, 1/60th, 1/200th of a second, whatever that is. And I'm going to take those settings. I'm going to shoot at ISO 100, at f4, let's say, and then the camera's going to come back with, maybe 1/100th of a second. And then I'm going to take those settings, I'm going to put it in manual, I'm going to make sure my flash is metered at f4, and then I'm going to take the picture. So let's take a look at that. Okay, in that picture of Jo, my settings for that were ISO 800, 1/1000th of a second at f4. So to get that, what I did was went into Aperture Priority, chose the aperture, f4, of what I wanted to shoot at, and an ISO 800, and then the camera came back with 1/1000th of a second for a shutter speed. Now, to make that effective, or to be able to do that, you also need lights that are going to be what's called high-speed syncing, or have that capability, because if they're not, you're going to be limited to 1/200th of a second for your shutter speed. And I shot with those for many, many years, but with the ones that I shoot with, they are the Explorer 600s. You can do a high-speed sync with those. So that's what made that picture available to me, was being able to shoot at a high ISO like that, getting 1/1000th of a second at f4. So thank you for the question, Gary. I hope that helps you. Thanks so much, Leanne. It is Kelly's birthday. Happy birthday to you, Kelly. It's a pleasure knowing you, and I look forward to more brandings and roping and workshops with you. So I hope you have a great day, friend. Are Lightroom presets cheating? Well, the short answer, in my opinion, is no, they're not. But I believe that this comes down to what your intent is behind using Lightroom presets. And let's talk about how I use mine. Before I talk about how I use my presets, let's talk about what a preset is. Now, a preset in Lightroom is just a recorded file of the exposure settings that you made. So clarity, saturation, contrast. Now for me, a preset saves time, and time is money, especially when we're talking about being self-employed. So if I can take a preset from a rodeo and apply that across 1,000 images, I'm good to go. Now let's talk about the other side of the presets, and that is your intent behind buying them. If you're buying them so that they look like everybody else's, then I believe you're cheating yourself out of that time in editing to develop your voice. Don't copy to be like somebody else, but copy to better yourself. And out on location, we develop ourselves to choose a kind of image style that we want to create for somebody. And in editing, we do the same thing with our voice in post-processing. The last thing that I'll say about this is complacency is the killer of creativity. And what I mean by that is using the same preset over and over and over becomes really stagnant. So right now, I'm actually in editing, and I'm coming up with new ways to edit. In editing right now, I am just sitting with a blank canvas, and I'm trying to come up with new ways to edit my images. And I'm just putting a brush to a blank canvas and letting it flow. Hey, Merry Christmas to you too, Courtney. Now, she asks, can you share with us how and post a link to cleaning your equipment? And this is a common question that I get. So I'm going to link you over to a blog post that I wrote about this a few years ago. For me, it's really important, number one, that I don't disengage the lens from the body until I get home, because that just invites a ton of dust, especially out of branding, to get into that sensor. But primarily, I'll use 1 can of those compressed air to blow off the major dust and all that. And then I'll also use just a microfiber cloth to clean off the lenses and my camera body and stuff. So if it's worse than that, I'll send it in to Canon Professional Services. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Merry Christmas to you. You're very welcome. Thank you for tuning in. And don't fear, nothing's going to burn the beard. They're all LEDs. Commitment is huge in anything that we do, especially being self-employed. You have to commit yourself to this kind of lifestyle. And more than that, there's a lot of perseverance. So thank you for your compliment.